Hello and welcome to the Flip. Never center. Hello and welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter. Oh, I didn't put my light on. I don't look so pretty. That's way too bright. Jesus Louises. That's better. I still don't look pretty. So welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter. I teach you how to start flipping and wholesaling houses in New York, or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. Had a good question. And it is, as I wrote, when I can't see what I wrote. That's lovely. Do market conditions or interest rate hikes have any effect on the overall approach to flipping and wholesaling? So, obviously, market conditions have an effect. Interest rates hikes less important because that is not in direct. There's not a direct correlation between interest rate hikes and housing prices, as although people will tell you that it does. So a couple of things. First of all, just some background on me. I was in the mortgage business for 17 years, from 1997 to 2013. I saw rates go up and down. We did purchases for people at 9% at one point, and we did purchases for people at like 4%. So if people need a house, they're going to pay. The issue is really market conditions. But let's talk about interest rates first. So someone told me an amazing thing. He said, if there's 500 people that can afford a house in an area when interest rates are 3%, and there's only 300 people that can afford that house at interest rates at 5%, and only 100 people can afford a house in this area when interest rates are 7%, it really doesn't matter if there's only 50 houses available. So we're still in an area, still in a position in New York and other parts of the Northeast where there is still an artificial reduction in supply, due, in my opinion, to the absurd foreclosure moratoriums and the eviction moratoriums, right? Which I'm dealing with now, right? The eviction moratorium in New York ended January 15th on my birthday. We're now almost exactly 5 months later, right? February, March, April, May, June, yeah. And I'm still have tons of evictions going on. Things are taking a long time. That has led to an artificial reduction in supply. So right now there are still, in my opinion, more people looking for houses. Now, are there going to be does it eventually affect housing prices? Probably, right? When I was doing this back in the day, I'm talking about like in the early 2000s, there was a weird thing going on where lenders were just giving away money for anything, and everybody just thought the housing market would continue to go up. So rates didn't really have a big effect. Now things are probably more rate sensitive. But the truth is, in an area like mine, where the average house is selling for $600,000, interest rates have less of an effect than in other parts of the country where houses are selling for $100,000. Because if you think about it, you only need to make like 40 grand a year to qualify at 3% for a $100,000 house. When the interest rates go up 2-3% like they have been, you suddenly you're priced out. You can't afford it anymore. But in areas like mine, where most people are making multiple incomes, $200,000, they very often can still afford it even if the rates go up. It's not as big of a percentage towards their income. So, right, because in general, just to give you some background on mortgages, you want, most of the time, you want 30% of the maximum, you want 30% of your gross income should go to the mortgage payment, 40% or 45% of your total debt is what they want you to be to qualify. But you've got to understand in areas here where people make a lot more money and the prices are higher, that's less of an effect than in areas where you're dealing with a much smaller dollar amount and much smaller incomes. So, now, the market conditions absolutely affect how we do business. So what does that mean, right? I've been saying for a long time, and much of it erroneous, that the market's going to turn. So for many years, I did not. For many years, I tried to shorten the length of time I owned things and how I did things, because I was concerned the market was going to change. Right? Most up markets are 8 to 10 years. We're about 14 years into an up market now. So the market is going to change, right? In 3/4 of the country, on three sectors of the country, West, Midwest, South, the market's already turned a little bit, started to go down. Not a free fall like we had in 2008, but it started to go down. In the Northeast, it's been very strong. So what's the story? The story is that we're probably going to see the market turn a little bit, and we're going to see sentiment change. Now, for me, I can't wait for that to happen. I'm going to be thrilled when that happens, because when the media finally gets wind of it, which is usually months or years later, and gets on the news and says, hey, we're in a down real estate market nationally, that is going to affect the psyche of a lot of sellers, right? So most sellers have thought for the last more than a dozen years that the longer I hold on to my property, the more money I'm going to get. Once sellers start to believe, whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. If their perception is the longer I hold on to my house, the less I'm going to get, I'm going to buy a lot more houses. Now, I need to, when I buy the properties, to buy it at a deeper discount now if I'm assuming that when the time I sell, I'm going to sell it for less, right? So that's the question, right? How much less? How do I know? It's not an easy thing to figure, right? But if I pull back on my offer prices by, let's say, 5 to 10%, I'm giving myself that kind of cushion. That's really the gist of it, right? We don't know, right? We never know when like if we go into contract with something now that we're going to close on and then fix up and then sell, it could be a year later. Nobody knows what the market's going to be in a year. If we give ourselves a cushion so that if the market goes down a little, we'll be okay. I don't think we're going to get slammed. I don't think we're going to go down like 50%. Is it possible? Sure, it's possible. Anything's possible. Markets are cyclical, right? But the idea that we're going to go down a lot like that seems harder for me to believe because there's so much institutional money buying properties. Now, most of that institutional money is not buying properties in my area. They're buying for rentals in other parts of the country. But it props up the whole market as a whole. And I believe, even though all real estate really is local, that there's always a perpetual demand for houses in the New York City suburb area. So I don't believe we're going to get killed. We didn't get killed as bad as other parts did in 2008, 2009. But, if we see a 10% pullback, even a 20% pullback, like I said, it's good for me. It's not bad for me. Could I get stuck on some deals where I'm in the middle holding them as it goes down and I make less? Yes. Might I take a small loss on deals? Possibly. Will I make less on some deals? Yes. But overall, I'm going to buy so many more houses because so many more sellers are excited to sell to me as opposed to reluctantly selling to me, which is what they usually do. Then I'm okay with that. And you can't get away from it, right? I see people that are new in the business. Most people in this business are new. They don't remember or weren't around or weren't old enough to remember what happened in 2008, 2009. So they don't believe things are nothing could go down. It's never going to go down. That's BS. Things are going to go down. I don't know when things are going to go down. I don't know when prices are going to go down. I don't know how long they're going to go down for. I don't know how much it's going to go down. But prices will go down. Hopefully it's a 10% pullback and then things go back up. It could happen. A snapback kind of situation. But the truth is it's even more local than what we're discussing. I'm talking about the whole Northeast region or the whole New York City suburbs region. The cheaper areas, right, in our areas have gone up the most. And if they still stay the cheapest areas, probably the places where you can buy a house for $350,000, $400,000 today, I think the affordability is always what sells. So if someone can get a house for $350,000 or is going to get a house for $400,000 that's now $350,000, there's still going to be a demand for that. On the upper end, on the multi-million-dollar areas, those places always have the most elasticity. They always get hurt the worst. I don't do a lot in that space. If you did and you were building them, I would say you might be concerned. But if you left enough room, most people who are building or who are flipping or rehabbing or whatever you're doing or wholesaling, you are still leaving enough room that you can handle a little bit, a 10 or 20% downturn and still not get slaughtered. You might not make as much money as you thought, but you won't get slaughtered. Now, as for the cash buyers, there might be less cash buyers if you're wholesaling deals, and those buyers might want to pay less. You're going to have to adjust your buy price to the sellers to adjust that too. But again, you only need one cash buyer to come in and buy your property. If there's 30 sellers, if I get 30 offers on a deal today and I'm going to get 5, as long as one of them is in an area where I can make some money, I don't care. I'll continue wholesaling. So that's the gist of it. It's very, very hard to predict. A lot of people don't get into this business. They say, I'm going to time the market. Now's a terrible time to get in the market. Everything's so high. Now's a terrible time to get in the market. Everything's so low. The good people in this business, and I know dozens of them, have made money in the up markets and the down markets. You should be able to make money in any market. I am not concerned. I'm not going to say I'm not concerned. Obviously, it's something I have to be concerned about because it affects the price that I offer people. But I'm not worried that my business is going to get slaughtered if the market goes down or if it goes up. I think good people in this business can make money in any market. So I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in all the ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're interested in finding out more about one-on-one coaching I offer, go to coaching.howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on any media channel, please click the thumbs up. The likes really help me. And please keep the comments coming. I post 5 times a week. This came from a comment. Thank you, Stevie D. And if it's something simple, I'll just answer with a quick response. If it's something I've covered before, I'll send you links to multiple videos. I sent somebody a link to 4 videos. They were asking me about getting lists. And you can ask any question in your comments. It doesn't even have to be about the video you're watching. And if it's something new, if you ask me something new, like Stevie D did, I will do a new video on it. Even though I've covered this topic before, it is always current. So thank you very, very much for watching. I really appreciate it.